I was halfway through my coffee when my phone lit up with a text from Caleb, my sister's 19-year-old son. I want a $2,000 new phone. You'll upgrade me? I nearly choked. No, hi, no, please, just a demand like I was his personal tech sponsor. I typed back one word, sharp and cold. No. I thought that would end it. But a few minutes later, another notification popped up. This time, it was April, my sister. Agree, or you're banned from family events. I actually laughed out loud. A threat? Over a phone? As if missing another one of her microwaved lasagna nights was going to shatter me. But underneath the humor, I felt something darker building. My chest tightened. My jaw locked. And in that moment, I wasn't just angry, I was done. That night, I opened my laptop, pulled up my banking app, and quietly reversed the transfer I had sent just 2 days earlier to cover their car payment. $800 vanished from her account in seconds. By 7:22 the next morning, my phone was vibrating off the counter. 6 missed calls from April. 3 from her husband, Dave. 4 from Caleb. My screen was a war zone of notifications. At 7:36, another text rolled in. Caleb again. WTF? Did you do this? Mom's crying. Fix it. Now. Fix it? After everything I had already sacrificed for them? My hand shook, not with guilt, but with the sharp edge of clarity. I didn't fix anything. Instead, I powered my phone all the way off, dropped it face down on the table, and exhaled. For the first time in years, I felt it. Peace. I sipped my coffee. Took Mia, my 13-year-old daughter, to school. Walked into work like it was just another Tuesday. And yet, deep down, I knew this wasn't over. Because April never let things go. Every time she lost control, she found a way to escalate. And this time, the way she retaliated? No one saw it coming. Not even me. By noon the next day, I couldn't even count the number of calls I'd ignored. My voicemail was maxed out. Text notifications were stacked like dominoes, one after another, lighting up my screen with everything from half-baked apologies to outright threats. April cycled through every trick in her book: guilt trips, fake pity, emotional blackmail. Caleb sent me a message calling me a jealous old woman who was ruining his future. And Dave left 3 separate voicemails, each one starting with, "Look, I don't want to get involved in sister drama," before launching into how reversing the transfer had left them in a serious bind. I didn't care. Not anymore. Their problems weren't my problems. Not one bit. But then, around 3:40 p.m., my phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't them. It was my cousin Lindsay. "Hey, are you okay? Have you seen April's Facebook?" I didn't even respond. My stomach dropped so fast I thought I was going to be sick. I opened the app, and the second the page loaded, my heart slammed against my ribs. There it was. A post. Public. Not just for friends, public. And the photo? God. It was one of the most private things I'd ever shared with anyone. 2 years ago, during a short relationship, I'd trusted someone enough to send a few personal pictures. They weren't raunchy, but they were vulnerable, intimate. One of those photos was plastered across April's timeline for the entire world to see. The caption? "This is what a responsible single mother looks like when she's not busy judging everyone else's life." I stopped breathing. Literally stopped. My vision tunneled. My hands shook so violently I had to sit down before I collapsed. 53 minutes. That's how long it had been live before I saw it. Long enough for coworkers, old family friends, even one of Mia's teachers to hit the like button. Long enough for shares. For screenshots. For whispers to start. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I grabbed my car keys and drove. When April opened the door, she had the audacity to act like nothing was wrong. Like I'd just dropped by uninvited for brunch. Something in me snapped. I didn't say a word, I slapped her. Hard. Then I turned on my heel and walked out. She shrieked after me, calling me crazy, but I barely heard it over the roaring in my ears. I didn't care. Not anymore. She had crossed a line there was no coming back from. By the time I got home, the post was gone. Deleted. But it didn't matter. The damage was permanent. People had seen it. People had saved it. I even got a message from one of Mia's friends' moms, delicately asking if I was okay. That wasn't anger boiling in me anymore, it was finality. I was done. But I wasn't helpless. See, I'd always known April was unpredictable, dangerous even. And tucked away on my desktop, in a folder I never planned to touch, was my insurance policy. Screenshots. Dates. Names. Messages. April loved to play the perfect wife, but her marriage wasn't what she pretended it was. And Dave? He had no clue what his wife had been doing behind his back. But he was about to. I gave her one last night. Not out of mercy. Out of strategy. I wanted her to sleep soundly, smug, thinking she'd won. Thinking she'd embarrassed me, crushed me, dragged me down. Meanwhile, I was at my kitchen table before sunrise, scrolling through a year's worth of dirt she didn't know I had. It started about 10 months ago with a man named Ree. Not some random ex. Not an online fling. Ree worked with Dave. Married. Younger. Just as pathetic as April. At first, it was flirty texts. Then it turned into late-night errands. And then came the photos, explicit, messy, incriminating. I wish I could erase them from my mind, but they're burned in there forever. She complained to him about Dave in those very same threads. Bragged that she was sick of carrying a grown man with a discount job and needed a real man to entertain her. I never planned to use it. I kept it for insurance, because deep down, I always knew April would pull something vile one day. And after she blasted my private photo for the entire world to see, the game changed. Now, I had nothing left to lose. At exactly 9:14 a.m., I hit send on a short message to Dave. Can we talk? I think you should see something. No explanation. No build-up. Just that. He replied almost instantly. When and where? We met at a tiny coffee shop near his work. When he walked in, I barely recognized him. He looked wrecked, dark circles under his eyes, shoulders slumped, skin pale like he hadn't slept properly in weeks. I didn't waste time. I slid my phone across the table. The folder was open. Every screenshot, every message, every photo neatly lined up like evidence waiting in a courtroom. Dave scrolled in silence. His hands trembled. His eyes darted back and forth across the screen. I watched as the color drained from his face. Then he froze. Stared at one screenshot for what felt like forever. It was from 3 months ago. April, texting Rhea about a night she claimed she was out with friends, when in reality she'd been in a cheap motel on the edge of town. Dave finally lifted his head. His voice was quiet, almost hoarse. How long have you had this? I swallowed hard and told him the truth. Nearly a year. I stayed quiet because I didn't want to destroy your life. I figured it wasn't my place. But April, she made it my place. She dragged my name, my body, my dignity through the mud for everyone to see. I can't stay silent anymore. He didn't say another word. He just stood up, gave me a small nod, and walked out of the coffee shop with my phone still in his hand. I didn't even ask for it back. By Friday, the fallout had started. April called me 7 times in a single day. I let every call go to voicemail. Then the text started. First she blamed me, then she threatened me, and finally she switched to begging. But I didn't answer. Dave had left. Packed a bag. Took the car. Disappeared. Caleb, of course, went online posting cryptic nonsense about fake family and snakes hiding behind smiles. I didn't even bother reading past the first line. But Sunday night, the real punch landed. My cousin Jenna sent me a screenshot from the family group chat. April was spinning a brand new story, claiming I had broken into her Facebook, photoshopped all the affair screenshots, and was jealous of her perfect life. The problem? Someone had already saved her original post about me, the one she swore never existed. The cousins called her out immediately, and for the first time in our lives, April wasn't the victim. She was cornered. Alone. But humiliation wasn't enough for her. No, April always had one last trick hidden up her sleeve. I thought it was over. I truly did. Once Dave walked out, once the family saw her for who she really was, I thought the nightmare would finally end. But Monday morning proved me wrong. I dropped Mia off at school, stopped to fill up the gas tank, and noticed a woman 2 pumps away staring at me. Not just glancing, staring. Her face tickled something in my memory, but I couldn't place her. As I slid back into my car, she called out, "You're Evelyn, right? April's sister?" I froze. Then slowly nodded. She gave me this half smile and said, "Just wanted to let you know, people talk. Hope you're okay." And then she drove off. My stomach flipped so hard I thought I might throw up. By the time I pulled into my driveway, my phone had exploded with notifications. 5 new messages from random accounts on Facebook and Instagram. Strangers, actual strangers, were flooding my inbox with insults, taunts, and sick comments. Confused, I clicked a link someone sent me. And that's when I saw it. April had struck again. Not on her personal page this time, but on one of those local gossip groups, the kind with thousands of members who live for drama, posting complaints about bad neighbors or cold fries at the diner. Only this time, April had made me the headline. An anonymous post titled, "Beware of this woman. She'll steal your man and your money." She'd included one of my photos again. Barely blurred. Still recognizable. Added just enough of my real name that anyone who knew us could connect the dots. She painted me as some predator who chased married men, claimed I'd spent years seducing husbands and trying to tear her family apart because I was bitter and single. Within an hour, there were over 200 comments. Some people mocked me. Some defended me without knowing the truth. But none of it mattered. The damage was done. I wasn't just the subject of April's drama anymore. I was officially the scandal of the town. That same afternoon, my phone rang, and it wasn't April this time. It was Mia's school. Her teacher's voice was gentle, careful, the way people speak when they're trying not to make things worse. She said Mia had mentioned people online saying things, ugly things. My heart stopped. My hands went clammy. The one fear I'd been bracing for, the nightmare I had prayed wouldn't happen, it was happening. My daughter was being dragged into April's chaos. And that was my breaking point. I picked up the phone and called Dave. Not for revenge. Not to stir the pot. I was past all of that. But I told him what April had done on the gossip page. I told him that Mia was being dragged into it now. There was silence on the line. For a moment I thought maybe he'd hung up. But then his voice came low, steady. "Send me the link." An hour later, the post was gone. But what happened next, I never saw coming. That evening, Dave showed up at my door. Not angry. Not confused. He looked like a man who had finally made up his mind. In his hand was my phone, the one he'd walked out with after our first meeting. "I went through everything," he said. His voice shook, but not with fear. With rage. All of it. Every message, every photo, every lie. "She's not just a bad wife. She's dangerous." Then he looked me dead in the eyes and said words I'll never forget, "I want a divorce. And I need your help. I'm going to fight for custody of Emily." I froze. Emily. Their 8-year-old daughter. Sweet, quiet Emily who always hovered in the background of their chaos, barely noticed. I never imagined Dave would push for custody. I never thought he believed he could even win. But in his eyes, I saw it, he'd had enough. That same week, Dave moved into a small apartment close to Emily's school and filed the paperwork. And April? She was unraveling for the whole world to see. Screaming matches in parking lots. Posting vague quotes about betrayal. Flooding relatives' inboxes with sob stories. She had no idea Dave had already shown the court everything, the screenshots, the affair photos, even the gossip post she swore didn't exist. I didn't have to do another thing. She was burying herself, one meltdown at a time. But just when I thought the storm was finally over, I remembered something. A card I hadn't played. Months earlier, April had accidentally sent a screenshot to our family group chat. She deleted it within a minute, but I'd already saved it. It was a payment, 3 months rent up front to someone named Brenda S. She never mentioned renting anything. Ever. And the date? 6 months back. Curiosity burned through me. I picked up the phone, called Brenda, and said I was a relative of April's. Brenda laughed. Oh, you mean the little one-bedroom she used for about a year? The one she never paid the last month on? That place was her writing studio. Or, at least that's what she told me. My blood went cold. Because we both knew April wasn't writing anything in that apartment. Brenda went on, oblivious to what she was confessing. Different men came and went all the time. Day, night, it didn't matter. I thought she was single. I hung up, shaking. April hadn't just been sneaking around with Ree. She'd built an entire second life, funded by the money she claimed she needed for groceries, for bills, for Caleb's car, for rent. Money she guilt-tripped me into sending over and over again. I sent Dave the call recording. No explanation. No commentary. Just the raw audio. Alongside it, I attached the original payment screenshot. 2 hours later, he texted me. She's never getting near Emily again. The next morning, April's name was plastered on the court docket for an emergency custody hearing. And just like that, she went silent. No calls. No texts. No posts. Caleb wiped most of his social media clean. Emily was placed temporarily with Dave while everything was processed. Then something I never thought I'd hear happened. My parents called. They'd been Switzerland through all of this, or so I thought. But apparently, April had gone crawling to them too, spinning her same tired story that I destroyed her life out of jealousy. She begged them to host some kind of family summit to set the record straight. Instead, my mom said something that almost brought me to tears. Whatever happens to her now, she earned. That night, I sat on my couch alone. I scrolled through years of messages from April, every guilt trip, every demand wrapped in fake concern, every insult disguised as advice. And one by one, I deleted them all. Another piece of her, gone from my life. I thought maybe, just maybe, I could finally breathe. But it still wasn't over. Because at that custody hearing, something happened. Something that snapped the last thread holding April to reality. And when it did, she came to my house. It was a Thursday morning. Quiet. I was working from home, the hum of my laptop the only sound in the house. Mia was at school. For the first time in weeks, the walls didn't feel heavy. The air didn't buzz with tension. Just stillness. And I didn't realize how much I'd been starving for that peace until it finally wrapped itself around me. Then the doorbell rang. I froze. I wasn't expecting a package. I wasn't expecting anyone at all. Slowly, I pushed the curtain back just enough to peek outside. And there she was. April. Standing on my porch like nothing had happened. No warning. No call. Just her. Her eyes were red and swollen, her hair pulled back the way she used to wear it when we were teenagers, back when life hadn't beaten us both into strangers. Her clothes were wrinkled, and for a moment, I honestly wondered if she had been sleeping in her car. Every instinct told me not to open the door. To stay silent, let her stand out there until she walked away. But against my better judgment, I did. She didn't rush in. She didn't yell. She just stood there, staring at me like she was searching for some kind of crack in my face, like she was waiting for the version of me she could still manipulate. I need to talk, she said. I didn't move. I didn't even nod. She kept going, her words spilling out in a frantic stream. Dave had filed the emergency motion. Caleb wasn't speaking to her. Emily wouldn't come to the phone. The court had slapped her with a temporary restraining order until the custody hearing. Her own lawyer had told her to prepare for the worst. Then she said it, I know you hate me, but I'm still your sister. That was her angle. Blood, childhood, sisterhood. As if that bond erased everything she had done. As if the word sister could patch over years of destruction. I asked her, why are you here? What did you think would happen? Her answer? I just want to understand why you're doing this. And that's when it hit me. She didn't get it. She never had. She still thought this was something I did to her. She still believed she was the victim of a war she had started. She honestly thought if she could just talk long enough, twist the right words, I'd cave like I always had. But this time, I didn't. I told her everything I'd kept inside for years. Every manipulation. Every fake emergency. Every time she took without giving. Every guilt trip, every lie. I told her how I had stayed quiet, not because I was weak, but because I'd felt sorry for her. Because some small, naive part of me had prayed she'd grow up. But she didn't. She got worse. And now, she was facing the consequences she had earned. For the first time in my life, April had no comeback. No smirk. No excuse. Just silence. Genuine, stunned silence. And then, maybe because she couldn't stand the power slipping away, maybe because venom was the only thing she had left, she spat out one final line. You'll regret turning this family against me. I didn't argue. I didn't yell. I didn't give her the fight she wanted. I simply closed the door in her face. She didn't knock again. A week later, the court awarded Dave full custody of Emily. April was allowed only supervised visits, pending a psychological evaluation. Caleb moved in with a friend and cut contact with the rest of us. The family, including my parents, finally washed their hands of her. At dinners, at birthdays, at holidays, her name became the silence no one wanted to break. The outcast. Exactly what she had tried to make me. And me? I got my life back. No more frantic calls begging for money. No more guilt-drenched messages. No more weight on my shoulders that wasn't mine to carry. Mia never found out about the ugliness online. I managed to shield her just in time. She still asks why we don't see Aunt April anymore. I tell her simply, sometimes grown-ups have to make hard choices. Because this was never revenge. This was survival. And I am finally free. I didn't plan to share all of this. Honestly, when that first text from Caleb came through, the one demanding a $2,000 phone upgrade, I never imagined it would lead here. To custody battles. To betrayal laid bare. To slamming the door on my own sister, once and for all. But I kept this inside for years. Kept the peace. Stayed quiet. And silence doesn't heal people like April. It feeds them. Since I've spoken out, the messages I've received, from strangers, from people who've lived through the same kind of poison, have been overwhelming. And healing. So if you've listened this far, thank you. Truly. For being here. For letting my story matter. I don't know if there will be any more updates. April has disappeared from our lives, and I doubt she'll ever come back. Dave and Emily are rebuilding. I'm helping however I can, quietly, behind the scenes. Maybe one day things will settle for him. Maybe not. But for me? For the first time in years, my world is calm. And I'll never, ever let anyone drag me back into the chaos again. If something changes, I'll be back. But for now, this is where I leave you.